वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो Thank you very much for coming. We can send the kids to a different room. We have a special kids program. On behalf of the three host families, please express my heartfelt gratitude for coming today and giving us an opportunity to serve in our menial capacities. So who's come for the first time today here? Normally, okay, we have a small format just to understand. So if you can very quickly go through, like just tell your name, what profession, how long you've been in Melbourne for, and probably keep it very short. What's your expectation from this course? What do you think you expect?
I'm Praveen Parashar. By profession, I'm an engineer, and I've been in Melbourne since last 17 years. I've attended previous seminars, like not here, but the one which was in that child care center. So I want to learn because I know, I've been since childhood. I've been reading Gita, but there is so much still there to explore. So I just want to keep learning here. That's the expectation.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Yes, I'm Malika, wife of Praveen Parashar. So I work in children's services in school, like co-teacher, helper. I have teachers in the school and also as after school and post-school coordinator. Yes, same 16, 17 years in Melbourne. This is my first time here. Always busy with chores and my family, but I want something for myself this time and try to meditate and channelize my, thinking and my life's in a different direction. So I chose to come here.
Thank you very much. We'll try to endeavor to meet your expectations. Anybody else who's come for the first time? Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Actually, I'm a visitor here. I came to visit my brother's family. So my sister-in-law, she told me that it's nice you come and see one time.
Sure.
So usually I meditate at home.
Yep.
So it's it's really nice.
Thank you. What part of the India you're from?
I know I'm staying in US.
Oh, you're from US, right? And then you used to meditate. What kind of meditation you do?
So usually the chanting of my Kul Devi is usually I do at home every day.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And very fond of Krishna. Always the Krishna statue is in my temple, my home temple.
Right.
So I should be liking.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is there anyone actually who don't understand English here? You all understand English? Okay. Is there anyone who don't understand Hindi? Pretty much. You don't understand Hindi. Thank you. So those who actually were present in last class, we didn't have a last class. I hope all of you had a good time actually with the family and friends, understandingly. It was a long Easter weekend. So does anybody remember, does anybody recall what did we even cover? And you ask.
Yeah, we
Very good
covered
question.
things,
Yeah.
hard to remember, but we talked about God, the definition of the God.
Yep. That was the essence, right?
Yeah.
You asked a very good question actually. At the end of the class, you said I've become more confused. My mind has become more agitated. It's a very positive sign, to be honest, right? If there's a dirty water, you've been there, or if it's some muddy water lying there for a while, the water actually appears very clear. But the moment actually you make an endeavor to start cleaning, what happens is it agitates mud which is settled, and basically it looks more muddier. It appears actually the water was in fact clearer than muddier now. So it doesn't look like actually I'm progressing. It looks like actually I've become more confused. But like Raghunath Prabhu was saying, in the same chapter actually, Krishna mentions there are four kind of a people, or whatever actually, if not Krishna actually, whomever like Kuldevi or a Devi Devta or actually Babaji, actually, whomever we think actually is a higher self. So basically, the scripture says there are four kind of a people actually who are willing or make an endeavor to come to pick up the spirituality. Arto, Artarti, Jigyasu and Gyani. Arto means distress, one who is very distressed. Bimar hu, bachcha bimar hai, whatever actually. Even we might not believe in God or in higher self, but because somebody might have said, okay, because if you go here and there, if you go to the Babaji, if you go to the Peer Babaji, or if you go to that Mataji, if you go to the Vaishnavi, or whoever actually, probably actually the distress will come down. So that's one of the qualifications. Arthi, Artho, Arthi, Artharthi, Arth and Arth. Arth means wealth. Arthi means seeker. So basically, those who in need of a wealth, money. So I need a money actually for my factory, I need a money for my business, or I need a money for XYZ. So that's one of the qualification. Artho, Arthi, Jigyasu. Jigyasu is basically inquisitiveness. I'll come to this point later actually. And then last is a Gyani, the one who is a seeker of knowledge. So so people actually, so when we say inquisitiveness actually, so the step before inquisitiveness actually is a confused bewilderment. What you said is, so that's a positive sign. That's a positive sign that you are actually you already started your journey to the spirituality. That you had some concoctions, you had your own opinion. I won't say like particularly to you, but because you raised a question on behalf of probably everyone, they've been given an opportunity to ask a question. So it's a good sign actually. So do not take. And given actually, I think this is the second class you're coming in, so we really appreciate actually for coming in. So just be patient, and probably we have covered most of the topics in the previous classes as well. But then again, we'll continue to cover. So starting with, we'll do a quick review because it's a very important topic actually. We talked about how many of us believe in God, and then we have a different kind of a reasoning probably. You might not understand, but because we have been doing the things, because my parents had been doing, my father had been doing the thing, my grandfather had told my father to do the things, and because the things have been coming in a tradition, so I've been doing the things. So without even knowing why am I doing the thing. In fact, on this context, I was listening to a lecture, very, very nice thing actually. One of the very senior Vaishnava, S.P. Keshava Swami Maharaj, actually he said, when a lie is spoken long enough and loud enough, when a lie is spoken long enough and loud enough, it actually becomes a so-called truth. And when a group of people actually practice this so-called truth within a community, within a small community actually, it actually becomes a custom. And when this custom actually is passed on from one generation to another generation to another generation, so this so-called custom actually, once being passed on, it becomes a tradition. And once somebody is born to the tradition actually, because I'm born into this tradition, because my father has been doing the thing, my parents have been doing the thing actually. So we dedicate all our life to that tradition. All our decisions, all our life is based on within that decision actually. But if we even inquire the so-called tradition actually, all our decisions which are based upon that, and he says so many things actually. The crux of the point was because we live in that so-called tradition, so we make decisions day in and day out in terms of our family, in terms of our work commitments in our offices, in terms of our spirituality, and all those decisions are based on that tradition. And decisions determine our destiny. So we need to be very, very careful what our destiny could be, because the decisions are based on so-called tradition, which are based on so-called custom, which are basically based on so-called truth, and ultimately which is based on false. And I think we spoke so many things. One of the examples we spoke about in a marriage, a man actually was getting a daughter married, and then he said, like, make sure there is one basket kept next to the that sacrifice area where those havans are happening, without even knowing it. And probably they were thinking actually it's one of the so-called custom or so-called ritual or so-called tradition, but when they backtracked, it happened because their ancestors or forefathers actually used to live in a village, and then the cats were quite prominent. So when they used to serve a sweets or a food or prasadam actually for the wedding, so and they used to keep them in a pot. So cats were very prominent actually to invade into those houses and break those pots. So just to prevent the pot from the cat, they used to keep the basket. So that one thought of probably taking an action became a tradition. So we need to be very, very careful actually why we are doing the things we are doing the things. And that's why the very first line of the Vedanta Sutta, the essence of all the Vedas is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire. Who am I, what I'm doing, and that would be the next chapter actually, because we are getting deeper and deeper. I think I'll straight away jump into the crux actually, because now one of the things people say, there are a few reasons actually why don't we believe in a God, because no proof of his existence. दिखा दोगे तो मान लूंगा, प्रत्यक्ष को प्रमाण की जरूरत नहीं है, आंखों से देख लूंगा तो मान लूंगा, otherwise नहीं मानता भगवान को. Can you show me the God, basically the same context, or can you prove if there is a God? How can a God exist around? So, and this is a very important topic. In fact, the 5th chapter of this class probably will take many weeks, and this is where all the karma theories will come. Why do bad things happen to the good people? I don't think I've done anything bad to anyone. So why there is so much miseries happening in my life? Why am I suffering? I don't think I've done anything wrong to anyone. So whose reaction am I suffering to? So basically about it. And then again, the context is, if God exists, so why am I suffering? Why am I suffering? Why is he? So is he not a good God? Okay, so let's move on to, let's change our, and that's basically our perspective. We keep on changing, we keep on hopping from one God to another God, or another demigod, or another Mataji, or another Babaji, because I had some I had some problems, and because I went to that spot, I went to that place, and because I did not get relief of my miseries, so I don't trust him. So I'll pick up another God. So all those kind of thoughts. And then people come up with all kind of things. But anyways, we also discuss how can we actually establish, so it's a science, it's a spiritual science. So how can we establish the existence of a God is by the principle C Lord. So C is basically creator. So like we have been right from the beginning, because I call myself like so-called educated, studied a modern science, and then that modern science is based on a lot of scientists, and then their philosophy is everything came from nothing, Big Bang. कुछ धमाका हुआ और वहीं से हमारी creation start हो गई. And then we also, I think we spoke about this example, Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the World War II, at the end of the World War II, just to bring the war to the end. So US dropped 2 nuclear bomb. So when the dhamaka happens, when they drop the nuclear bomb, did the construction happen or did the destruction happen? So these are just some of the common sense actually. But then again, the scientific theory says everything, because they can't track everything back. They do not know. But anyways, the point is, behind every creation there is a creator. Behind every law there is a lawmaker actually. And then we talk about things, and behind every order or design there is. So basically there's a device, phone. So this was although we have been using this is probably like when I was like 7 or 8 years old actually. Now we're using the cell phones. But then again, whether it's a cell phone or whether it's a wireless phone or a cordless phone, or whether it's a corded phone, behind this instrument there is a person who created. So behind this creation exists a creator, and that person is Graham Bell. And then we spoke about Galileo actually invented all those things, Thomas Edison. Again, so many things, Big Bang Theory, I won't go into detail, I think we already discussed. So essence is basically behind every creation there is a, and then we have a laws. Some of the thing actually behind the designer. So the most expensive watch, probably, I was trying to find this, I think this is a watch which Anand Ambani wore, I think 70 crores or something actually, most expensive watch in the world. But the point is actually the watch did not manifest by itself. The essence we are trying to present is not the watch. The thing is, somebody must have a design. So this whole world is such a beautiful design. All the planets are moving in its own orbit. I mean, sun, moon, they all are coming at their own respective time. In fact, the forecast is so good in these countries that we can even know, we can plan our day whether it's gonna rain or whether it's gonna overcast or whether it's gonna be sunny day, you know, and what time actually there will be the moonrise, sunrise, sunset time. So everything is happening perfectly. If that design it, so who designed this design? Did that just come by from destruction? So these are some of the things I think we need to introspect ourselves. So the point is, behind a design there is a designer. Most expensive car, one of the expensive car, Rolls Royce, beautiful design inside, but again the car didn't manifest. So there are designers actually. There's a design team who design all those things, satellites and all those things. Now, and then again, because people, they say, I can't see God, I can't perceive God. Now, because you can't see, and that's a human tendency, because we are actually called Mahabhuts, Bhoot. I'll tell you what's Bhoot. Why we are called Bhoot? Because we are constituted from Panch Mahabhut, 5 elements, either air, earth, fire, water, and earth. Either air, fire, water, and earth. पांच तत्वों से हम बने हैं, and we have a limitation to perceive anything and everything through these senses only. दिखा दोगे तो मान लूंगा, सुन लूंगा तो मान लूंगा, टेस्ट करा दोगे तो मान लूंगा, टच करा दोगे तो मान लूंगा, सुन लूंगा तो मान लूंगा, नहीं तो नहीं मानता. Now, because they cannot perceive the God in these 5 senses, so what they say, they come up with, they concoct the definitions of a God. So somebody says, I really wanted to pick up this, but one of the Mataji, the Patel Mataji, she is not there, and I really want to keep this topic, but we'll probably have in the next few sessions. So somebody says God is a light. Somebody says God is a nature, and then the typical example is Aboriginal here in Australia. So they worship earth, water, sun, and even on their designs they have those different colors that depicts earth, water, and air or sky. So they have a different concoction. Somebody says God is love, so I believe in love. Somebody says work is worship. I was very passionate before. Work is worship. कर्म ही पूजा है. बस कर्म कर लिया, पूजा करने की जरूरत नहीं. भगवान ही पूजा कर्म काम के अंदर है. So things like that. Somebody will say God is nothing. The typical example is a Buddhist philosophy. Actually, we're not criticizing, but that again is good to understand the different philosophies as well. So they says. Your miseries exist if you are suffering. Your suffering exists as long as you are part of the body. The moment you leave the body, there are no miseries. So they compare the philosophy with the air in the pot. So there's an empty pot, and then there is an air in the pot. So there is an air in the pot, and then there is an air outside the pot as well. So they compare the pot with the body. So if I break the pot, so what they say is the moment all the miseries exist as long as we have a pot. And the moment we break the pot, the air inside the pot merges the air outside the pot. So that's their philosophy. So that means void. So there's nothing in the pot, there's nothing outside. So it's just a concoction. That they say like it's everything is in the mind. But again, that's one of the philosophy. We'll talk about these things later. So because the point is, because we can't perceive anything through senses, we come up with all those definitions, and then we also talk about again, people have their different concoctions. So this. He's meditating on Hey Ma, so basically he's thinking over the Durga Ma, and then another once it says Hey Ma, probably he's thinking over the Hema Malini. And then we have also seen there are people who treat different actors, actresses as their god, and then we talk a few examples on that as well. So they come up with their own concocted definition of a god. However, if we need to summarize everything, the definition of a God, so God is basically the very same chapter which Raghunath Prabhu actually talked about. So basically, if we have to summarize what could be the God, so God is the one who is supreme, who is supreme in all those 4 aspects. He is the supremely source of everything. Means he is the source of everything. He doesn't have any sarva karan karanam. They say. The very first verse of Brahma Samhita is Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva Karanam Karanam. Ishwara Param Krishna. He is the cause of all causes. He doesn't have any cause, and everything is and all the effects depends on this cause, which is the Ishwara Param Krishna. He is a Maheshwar. He is a Param Krishna, Anyways, we'll give a definition later, but the point is the one who is the supremely source of everything and anything fits in the definition of God. And then proprietor, who owns anything and everything. How much property we have? Probably one house, we are living in 2 investment properties, 2 cars, 3 cars, whatever actually. Do we own the whole block of land? Do we own the whole suburb? Or do we own the whole state? Or do we own the whole city? Or do we own the whole country? Or do we own the whole world? Or do we own any other universes as well? So that definition that fits in the definition of God. Enjoy, supremely enjoy. Although we have a tendency to enjoy, and that's basically the reason we have come here in the first place, but again we'll talk more about that. And controller, who's supremely controlling everything. We're not controlling time, we're not controlling the planets, we're not controlling moonrise, sunrise actually. We have an instrument. Scientists have done scientific innovation to create or to develop instruments that can collect the data, and based on the data is simple technical IT, business intelligence, based on the previous data. So they start creating a forecast. Like in project management, we say actual versus forecast. So basically that's so. But we are not controlling anything and everything. Anyways, right. Come to the point straight away. So what is the definition? What is the Shastric definition? And we did mention actually that we are not going to give our point here. We're going to give a Krishna's point of view or a scriptural point of view. Why scriptural point of view? Again, that will come in the probably we'll try to finish if we could. Why scriptural point of view? Because scriptures, I think I've said so many times, scripture is our mother. If I need to know who is the father of a child, mother is the best person. I'll just skip because now that's a Shastric definition of a God. So this definition actually is given by Parashar Muni. Now Parashar Muni is not an ordinary soul. Actually, he's very potent. He is the father of a Ved Vyasji. Ved Vyasji is the one actually who who written all the Vedas, and then all the broken down Vedas into the Puranas and Upanishads, and then all the scriptures he has written. So his father actually gave this definition, and it's mentioned in the Vishnu Puran 10 to 6, chapter 4, was Ashwarasya Samagrasya Veerasya Yashasya Shriya Jnana Vairagyayoscha Chaiva Sannam Bhag Itin Gana. So basically what does it mean is basically simple language means Ashwarya basically means opulence. So Parashar Muni is saying is the person who got these 5 bhag means Ashwarya or Ashwaryavan, or the person who got these 5 bhag or 5 opulences become Bhagavan. Why? Because if somebody has a dhan, if I have a wealth, I would be, because see, there should be some symptoms of a person to put a label or to identify that person. If a person is knowledgeable, if a person has a gyan, that person becomes Gyanavan. If a person has a money, if a person has a wealth, that means he has a characteristics which depicts through the money, so he becomes a Dhanavan. Similarly, a person who has some good qualities, he becomes a Gunavan. Somebody has a strength, become a Ballavan. So what Parashar Muni is saying is so basically, and then I think we did discuss about this as well. So any person who have either one or more than one of these opulences, either wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, fame and renunciation, even in the minute amount, थोड़ा सा भी अगर wealth है, थोड़ी सी strength, थोड़ी सी beauty है, it could be one or more than one, वो व्यक्ति बन जाता है आकर्षक. Akarshak means attractive. So any person who got either one or more of these opulences, that person becomes attractive. So I think we gave an example. So she's Nicaragua, Miss Nicaragua from 2023. She's beautiful, so she's attractive. Why? Because she has the opulence of beauty, strength, wealth. Everybody knows knowledge. These people are famous. So renunciation. Now what he's saying is, so that person who have one or more of these opulences, even in a minute amount, that becomes attractive. So now think of a person who have all these 5 opulences, all these 6 opulences actually, all these 6 opulences, not in a minute. Simit meaning asimit. unlimited amount. So if one person becomes akarshak, so that person who have all these opulences in infinite amount, that becomes sarva akarshak. So in Sanskrit, the sarva akarshak is basically means Krishna. Karshati. So basically, we started with the definition of a Bhagwan. So the definition of a Bhagwan itself told who is Bhagwan. So that person who has got everything, Sarva Akarshak, and in Sanskrit, Sarva Akarshak is called Krishna. And now let's take the definition of Krishna in Sanskrit. So Bhagwan definition is Sarva Akarshak, which means Krishna. And now let's talk about what Sanskrit says about Krishna. So the definition of a Krishna is Karshati Akarshati iti Krishna. Karshati का मतलब होता है, basically the word Karshan is a beautiful word, it has come actually from Sankarshan, Balaram. और Karshan का मतलब होता है हल. जो बलराम जी होते हैं, his weapon is हल. When you plow a field, you pull it. So Balaram ji is basically Adi Guru. So he pulled the conditioned soul like us. Come, I'll take you back. So Karshan means attract. I'm sorry about that. Pull. And Karshati, Sarva Akarshati. We have already done Sarva Akarshati means who is all attractive. Iti, wohi hai Krishna. So Sanskrit definition of a Krishna and the Shastric definition of a Bhagwan matches. A is equal to B. So hence we prove the equation. So this is a Shastric proof. This word Bhagwan does not fit for anyone. And now, having said that, we'll have another chapter actually coming. We're not condemning any other facts. We'll have a chapter called One God and Many God. We'll talk about all the 33 crore Devi, 33 crore Devi Devtas, and the different cults and different religious movements or different faith people have been adopting. We'll talk all about these things. But again, to stick into the context of the Bhagavad Gita, what we are studying is, we are talking about the Bhagwan, so we have to shastrically prove. If we don't shastrically prove Bhagwan, our condition would be one of like this. Bhagwan Jyoti hai, Bhagwan Hema Malini hai, Bhagwan I am God, और कुछ नहीं तो मैं ही भगवान हूँ. God is nothing. So we need to have a knowledge, and not just a knowledge, we need to have a shastric knowledge as well. Anyway, so that was the crux of the last class. So we'll start today's class actually. So that's Parasha Muni's basics, talking about those 6 opulences, and then Veerasya, all strength, and then. Now, does God exist? We've spoken about that. Now, our scriptures, word of a God. So under this section, actually, we have already covered 2 topics here: proof of existence. So, see, Lord, creator, creation. Creation implies creator. Law implies lawmaker. Organization implies organizer. Design implies designer. Definition of a God. Spec, shastrically proof. हमने इस proof को spec हमने source. He's the source of everything. He's the proprietor of everything. He's the enjoyer of everything. And he's basically the controller of everything. The same chapter which Prabhu actually talked about chapter 6. And in the end of the chapter 5, the last verse of chapter 5 is basically again Krishna himself. He's telling his own opulence. So basically this also fits into the definition of a God. He says, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhirdam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. Bhoktaram, I am the benefactor. Benefactor of what? Bhoktaram yagya, of all the sacrifices, havan kund jo bhi aap kar rahe ho, I am ultimately it's coming to me. You might have an intention of doing something for someone else, but ultimately it's coming to me. Like a water in a pond merges into the lake merges into the river ultimately merges into the ocean. We might not know this thing actually. We might have a frog mentality. We might be a frog within a well. Our scope within could be of perceiving the water actually could be within the space of a well. But the person who sees the things from the knowledge, Gyan Chakshu, who doesn't concoct the thing on his own, can or understand the things from aerial view or from the holistic perspective, we can see, well is just a small water body. Actually, it's an underlying river which is feeding the water to the well, and that river is coming from is actually coming from the ocean. So ocean splits into the river, river splits into the lakes, lakes split into the maybe water bodies or whatever. So the point is, भोक्ताराम यज्ञ तपसाम tapasam means all the austerities. मैं आज इसका fast रख रहा हूँ, आज ये आया है, इसका fast है. It's good actually. We're not saying, we're not condemning the fact, but knowingly or unknowingly, he is saying that whether you keep the fast on Monday, whether you keep the fast on Tuesday, whether you keep the fast on Tuesday, Bajrangi Bali का fast रखें या किसी का fast रखें, ultimately I am the benefactor, and all those intentions for which you have kept that austerity or all this fast actually are awarded by me to the demigods or Guruji or Demidevta or Matajis by me only. By me only. These things will come in the subsequent sections actually. So the point is Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Lok Maheshwaram Ishwar. Ish means control. Var or one, same thing. Var means Ishwar, the one who has a control, basically controller. Ishwar means controller. We all are controller, but we are a minute controller. But Krishna is a Maheshwar. Maha means he's a supreme controller. He is a supreme controller of what? Sarva Lok, not this planet, this universe, of all the universes, whatever is existing, whether it's a nebula galaxy or whether it's a Milky Galaxy or whatever the galaxy, actually the scientists are still trying to project, although everything is mentioned in the Shastras, we can learn everything from there. But the point is, he's saying, I am the proprietor of each and every of those universes and the inhabitants living on those planets. We don't understand this thing. People, I'm not sure if they sent. Anyways, it's a subjective topic, but probably actually as we gradually develop the faith, because I was also at one point of time. But the point I'm trying to make is there are different planets, like Moon is one of the planet, and then they sent the satellite and they couldn't find anything. But that's not the case. If you look at this, if you look at Shastras, in fact in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, the very first verse, Krishna says, I'm forgetting the verse actually. Anyways, right. I'm forgetting the Sanskrit verse. In the very first verse of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, Krishna says, this knowledge, Arjuna, which I'm giving to you, this knowledge, what we are discussing here, transcendental knowledge, although we are speaking the crux. And sorry for you as well, because you have come for the first time, because Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses. So we have designed this course in a thematic approach. So we are not going to go through the 700 verses. We're not going to teach you Sanskrit verses, but we have created a sections and out of the themes, and then we will be discussing those themes. So intent is, by the end of this course, probably at least we'll have a high level idea of the Bhagavad Gita. So basically in chapter 4 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge actually was given to me initially by Surya Deva Vivaswana. Surya Deva Vivaswan, and Vivaswan actually gave this knowledge to his son Manu, and Manu actually gave this knowledge to Ikashwaku, Shri Ramji, Ikashwaku dynasty, Surya and dynasty में आए थे. So, and this is how this knowledge actually has been descending in parampara, like from one person to another, one person to another, one person to another. Now the point I'm trying to make here is, from scientific infer, we don't see anything, because we have heard NASA sent some Apollo satellite, or they keep on sending unmanned satellites. Now so many other countries, Soviet Union even, where India also sent last year this satellite. They couldn't find anything. Now why they couldn't find anything, now that's another topic we will not discuss. But the point I'm trying to make is, all these universes, all these planets, they are inhabited. There are living entities that live on these planets. We can't see because they have a very subtle body. Now the point is, Krishna is saying is, I give this knowledge to the sun god. Now you might challenge, how can somebody live in a sun god, sun fire? I mean, anybody can get burnt, right? How can people live on a sun planet, because that's full of a fire? But then again, like I said in the beginning, we are called Bhoot because we are everything, not basically everything. Whole creation is made from Panch Mahabhut, either air, fire, water, earth. So those living entities who are living on the sun planet, they have more of a fire element inside them, more of a fire element. So that's why they don't get burned. Aquatics, they have more of the water element in them. So that's why they do. They can sustain. They can live. They can even sleep. They can even give a babies within a water as well. And then again we have a birds and henceforth. So the point is, so there are planets and then there is a proprietor of the planet actually. So Surya, we all we know is sun, but the thing is, इस समय जो सूर्य के ऊपर जो राज कर रहा है, the king who is reigning, is given in the Shastras actually. His name is Vivaswan, and his son name is Vaivasvata Manu, and Vaivasvata Manu actually gave this knowledge to Vivasvata. Similarly, the point is moon. So they said that they went to the moon. So Soma is the presiding deity of a moon planet, and there are inhabitants living there. But then again, because we need to have a qualification, can we see a ghee from a milk? No, there is a process to get the ghee out of the milk, because we need to warm the milk, we need to get a malai, we need to get a cream, cool it down, then actually we need to warm it up, and then actually the condensed part actually gets settled down, and then the liquid part comes out. That's a ghee. That's a ghee. So there's a process actually. We need to have some qualification to understand this thing. Anyways, right. Now, how to see God. Now, the point, so today's lecture is, topic we try to cover is, then how can we see the God? और बताओ हम देख कैसे सकते हैं God को? So the Shastra says the way we can see the God is, there are two, again, this everything is coming from Bhagavad Gita and the Shastras. There are two ways we can see the God. One is cause and effect, and the second is a service. Now, how do we understand this? Now, today is quite a comfortable weather inside here. I think for the last few classes we had this fan on. Now this fan actually gives an air. The fan actually gives an air, and it makes, if it's a hot day or if it's a warm day, or during summers actually, we need either air con or we need a fan, something. We need something to make us feel better, comfortable. The fan runs on electricity, and the fan is connected to the socket. Now the socket got current, and that socket is actually, or in fact all the sockets within these houses are connected to the main MCB board, or wherever that MCB board is, and that board actually is getting electricity from somewhere outside the pole, and that pole actually is getting electricity from all those electric towers, and those cables actually, which are connected through the poles to those towers, goes all the way back to the powerhouse where the electricity is being generated. So in a sense we see the light, we are getting we're using aircon. I'm turning the laptop on, we got TV on, it's running on electricity. So in one sense, what we can see is, if we see an effect, nothing happens by chance. There must be some cause. So we need to understand the underlying cause as well. That's one of the, we're just trying to give like one lateral view, but then again we'll come on to this point more on this as well. It's a Rajasthani act puppet show, and then we used to be very fond when we were young. So what happens is basically, so there are puppets, and then there are music happening. Probably there are singing, people singing and then playing different instruments, and then these puppets actually, they are connected to different threads, and different threads are actually are controlled or by the people who are standing behind that behind the whole stage where those puppets are playing. Now, when the actual show happens, what we see puppets in action. Now, because the thread is so thin as well, and deliberately they keep everything dark, put spotlight onto the those puppets. So we don't see even their hands and their different limbs are connected to the threads, and it appears an illusion that these puppets are working by itself. So there is some song happening or whatever the thing. So the point I'm trying to make is, again, things just don't happen by itself. So if there is an effect, there must be some cause. If there is a kare, in Sanskrit it's called kare, there must be some karan as well. If that is the case, then again, these different planets and universes, how come they are just floating in the air? How come every now and then we see, the meteor will drop, or probably Earth or some meteor or some planet will go past very close. They just keep on making all kind of. There was a in 2000 there was a Maya calendar projection that Earth will collide with some meteor and then Earth will destroy. I mean, everything is there. They come with their own concocted theory. But the point I'm trying to make is so many planets are floating up in the air. Everything is happening on time. Everything is disciplined. How these things are happening? Shastrical proof. Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, 10th verse. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetu anena kaunteya jagat vipari vartate. What he's saying is this material nature, what you're seeing, this whole planet, different planets, different universes, it's one of basically Bhagwan. Again, we have already given a definition of a Bhagwan equals to Krishna. But again, if it's hard in the beginning to even accept that how can Krishna be a Bhagwan? Again, we can label anything in anything. But the point is, our Bhagwan is called multifarious. Multifarious means he has a lot of many energies. Everything happens through his energies. Like a prime minister, he has a lot of people. I mean, if there is a problem, if somebody broke into my car or somebody got into the house, Prime Minister Albany will not come to fix that problem. But that doesn't mean actually that I will not be dealt with. The point I'm trying to make here is because he's sitting on the top and he has the different departments, and there are department heads which are his energies. So there's a police department and head of the police department, which is one of his energy, which is working under the instruction of that. Similarly, we have a food department, we have a wealth management, we have a finance department, we have a law department. And that person is actually have a different police station or whatever, actually the constables, and they are responsible if anything happens, robbery or if anybody gets break into the car. So in a sense, the point is, although and then probably it might happen actually when this person complains, and then because of the CCTV cameras or maybe the neighborhood watch, somebody might have seen somebody getting to the house or jumping into the house. So they may have given a description of the person, and based on that, police tracked and then caught hold of that person. But the point is, the energy is basically in turn is actually talking about the energy of a head of the country. So similarly, Krishna is saying is actually this material nature is Prakriti is one of my energy, I have a many energy, one of my energy, and is actually working under my direction. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam is working because I am the Maheshwar, I am the controller. It's working under my direction. And it's producing all the moving and non-moving. And the last line is because it's working under my direction. I've already set some laws to it. You should work as per this law. And for this material nature, the law which Lord has said is it repeatedly gets created and annihilated. The universe की creation होती है और फिर प्रलय आ जाती है, everything gets finished. But then again, it's happening in the cycles. Very beautiful verse. Now, what Krishna is saying here is in this verse is Matta parattaram nanyat kinchadasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani gana iva. The important word here is sutre mani gana iva. Sutra means dhaga, thread. Money basically means crystals. So here in this context, Krishna is pearls, moti, and gana is basically means moti gana. I'm forgetting gana. Anyways, so what he's saying is all these universes, all these planets, they are like a garland made of the pearls of sutra mani gana, of all these precious stones. Like I'm actually wearing this tulsi mala, which is made from small tulsis. But any unintelligent person might get confused. How come these small things are just sticked and they're just flying around his neck? But the intelligent person knows there is a invisible thread which is passed through each of those small these beads of tulsi beads, and that is actually holding all the beads together. So Krishna himself is saying is actually that all these, everything rests upon me as the pearls are strung on a thread. Yes. So all these universes are actually not only working under my direction, not only I am the supreme controller, proprietor, enjoyer of everything and anything, but they are just like a pearls hanging on, and it works on as one of my very, very small energies. So we'll talk about more on a Shastrical perspective view as well. Now, another point is how can we see the Lord? So one of the points we discussed is by cause and effect. So I think the essence of that cause and effect is nothing happens by chance. So we need to just come out from that concocted theory. If we could, it's 8:30. I'll see if we could jump onto that slide. We'll talk about those things who had actually created these philosophies, these theories based on which we are studying our modern sciences. So the point is nothing happens by chance. There's a cause behind an effect. The second thing is we can see the Lord is by service. When we serve someone actually, then what actually happens is like imagine a person has 10 sons. 10 is quite a big figure. Let's say he has like 3 sons, and one son is an obedient son and he's living with the father, and then there are 2 sons. One is got into the drunkard habits, became drunkard, got into the drinking habits, and then he said, I don't want to leave home, and then he leaves and he goes out. And then other person actually goes into some like illicit activities or all kind of wrong things actually. Now, for a father, whether his son is obedient or not doesn't matter actually. For a father, all the sons are equal. Now, the very fact, because the 2 of his sons are not living in the house, irrespective of the nature of all the activities, what they're doing, it hurts the father more together, all the more, because I cannot even see them. At least they were doing the things, but at least I could see them because they're part of my body, right? Sons of. Now, what actually happens is, so when this son who is obedient, when he takes the other son who is just like roaming on the street, he has forgotten because he got into the drinking habit and he had lost all this money. Now he is on the streets cleaning the wind panes of a car on a traffic light, seeking some money to continue. Now, when the other son, he sees, what are you doing here? You are a son of a millionaire. Your father is a very rich person. Your father is a very rich person. Why are you doing the way you do doing the things? You don't have to do the things, right? So when that knowledge is given that son to the another son or the person who has forgotten his own identity and his true nature through knowledge, and when that person comes into a knowledge and then say, okay, now because now you know your identity, now I will take you to your house, to your home, and I'll make you meet your parents, your father. And when this son actually brings another son back to his father, father becomes more happy. Father basically becomes very happy to see when this son, obedient son, who's living with him every day when he comes back from the work, but he becomes more happy when he brings other sons back home, back to him as well. So the point is basically when we serve someone, daya, the Lord becomes happy. The Lord becomes happy, and it creates our qualification to see the Lord. How? It will come in detail, but the essence is, now it could be service in any form. भूखों को खाना खिलाता हूँ जी, मैं ब्रेड बांध करके आता हूँ, मैं वहाँ पे मैं फला कुछ करता हूँ, मैं खीर बांटता हूँ, या मैं भंडारा करवाता हूँ मैं माता का, या मैं साईं बाबा की चौकी रखवाता हूँ, मैं ये भोग करवाता हूँ. That's fine, all good. गरीबों को खाना खिलाता हूँ. The point is we are serving. So by serving, we are creating a qualification. How? because we cannot understand as a spiritual platform, but I'll try to give an example, a live example. Now, during COVID in 2020, between 2022, between 2020 23, I didn't know that, but again, if you just type in on a Google and on YouTube, you can even hear the telephonic clip as well. So now what actually happened, there was a lockdown, everybody was working from home except the essential service worker. And then the people actually who got most affected actually from the work pressure were the people from the medical department, the nurses, the doctors actually, because they were seeking the patient day in and day out. Not just that, even at the risk of getting contaminated from the COVID, what was that, whatever was the virus actually, from the risk of getting contaminated, and they themselves could become, and it has happened actually, even the nurses and doctors, they have died actually, because while treating others, they got contaminated. So this lady actually, from Pune, so she worked 18 hours every day, and then she got so popular actually, then this news went, because she was serving, then she just although she had a family, and then she had children, she worked like selflessly. She was serving people selflessly when the people were serving, when they needed the medical support the most. And this news actually went to the Prime Minister, and when he identified, oh wow, we have a person actually who's working so tirelessly, and then there was a call actually, and this entire record is, I think you can go to the YouTube and listen to this recording, and then it attracted the attention of the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister himself called that nurse, and then all the conversation actually he appreciated, and then all those things, and then everything actually came onto the YouTube as well. So the point I'm trying to make is, by serving, we attract the attention of the Supreme Personality, of the Supremo, or whatever could be a Supremo, but the Supreme, what we say, Supreme Spec, Supreme Source, Supreme Proprietor, Supreme Enjoyer, Supreme Controller. So by serving, when we serve others, it creates our qualification. That's a Shastrical proof. So that's one of the examples we have seen. Okay, now the point is, okay, we have talked about all those things. Now, so ultimately it boils to the point that to be able to see the God, we need to have a knowledge. Like I gave an example, we cannot, I cannot expect from anyone to give ghee or a butter oil from the milk in half an hour. No, there's a process actually, and then there is a science behind that. So that means there's a knowledge behind that. So okay, so we have been talking about the God. So how do we acquire this knowledge actually? How do we acquire this knowledge? Now before I jump onto this knowledge, because now the next slide is very important here. Sorry about that. We'll talk about the Shastric proof, not just our view. Now, according to the Shastras, there are 3 ways we can acquire knowledge. The 3 ways. Now, the very first way is called Pratyaksh Praman. Pratyaksh Praman. Now, the word, which basically means direct sense perception, scientific. Now, what does it mean is, it's a Sanskrit word. Sandhi Vichhed karte hain iski. Let's break the words Pratyaksh. The Pratyaksh Praman. So, Praman basically means proof, evidence. Give me the Praman, give me the evidence. सबूत लेके आओ, मान लूंगा. प्रत्यक्ष, प्रति अक्ष. प्रति मतलब सामने, अक्ष means eyes. सामने देख लूंगा तो मान लूंगा. Means that evidence, if I can see, and I can see the phone in front of me, I can see the all of you in front of me. So it's an evidence that class happened. People did come to the class, right? Now, again, I think I've mentioned this a few times. The scriptures need to be understood contextually and not textually. So if the word says aksha means eyes, so does that mean सिर्फ आँखों से दिखा दोगे? No. Basically, in Sanskrit, it's a beautiful language. It's the mother of all the languages. One word, according to the different contexts, have a different meanings. So here actually the aksh actually means senses, all the senses. It could be eyes, it could be ears, it could be nose, it could be tongue, it could be skin. So what does that mean is, if I can perceive, basically aksh, prati means if I can perceive, pratyaksh basically means sense perception through any of the senses. If I can see through eyes, if I can hear, if I can taste, if I can feel, if I can hear, then I will feel that praman as an evidence. Again, we will not go into the detail, because again we will understand, because again these have their own challenges, and whether they are the right way of understanding or not. But again, that's shastric proof. So one of the way to understand, to gain a knowledge, is to get a pratyaksh praman. Now the second proof is basically called anuman praman. Anuman, anu and man. Praman, like we said, evidence. Anu basically means estimation, estimate, guess, speculation. Sorry, anuman basically means speculation or theories. So in this category actually sits basically the scientists. They have been just doing all those kind of anuman praman. I think Earth is flat. No, I think the Earth is round. No, I think Earth is flat and round. So they're coming with all kind of speculative theories. We'll come on to this point like later on as well. So this basically they fall into this category. So all the speculation and theories. We're not saying this is wrong. It's coming from Shastra. So that's a true evidence. And the third evidence is basically called Shabda Praman. Now Shabda basically means word, sound. Praman is evidence. Hearing, evidence from hearing. Now, I think I won't go into detail. I think I've given this example many times. The best person to know the father of a child is a mother. I mean, I want to hear it. So hearing. So when we say Shabda, what does that mean? Is basically, now again, don't take it into the textually. Shabd basically means word. Here, what does Shabd basically means is, now before that, actually, I'll come to one point here. I'm not sure if I discuss this. A very important point. Now, somebody asked this question in one of the class actually in temple. He said, and this will come up in the last section of this course as well. How, भाई ये भगवद गीता तो 5,000 साल पहले कृष्णा ने बोली है. Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years back. How is this relevant to me? ये ज्ञान मुझे क्यों दे रहे हो आप? मैं तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में पढ़ाई का आदमी हूँ. मेरी तो अपनी फैमिली है. मुझे how this knowledge is relevant to me? First question. Second question is, Krishna was physically present. प्रत्यक्ष सामने थे अर्जुन के. उन्होंने भगवद गीता सुनाई. So the point is, the source of the knowledge was present before the acquirer of the knowledge. Means Krishna or Bhagwan, or if you don't want to believe, but again, Krishna was physically present before him and he gave this knowledge. हमारे पास कौन है 5,000 साल के बाद? हम तो अभी we have been saying we have concocted different definitions of a god. We don't even understand who is a god. Forget about who is a god. How would we understand a god? Forget about even that. How would we get this knowledge which was given by Krishna to the Arjuna? Because I don't have any physical proximity. First, I don't have a physical proximity. I don't even know who the god is, who that person is. Because every now and then, everybody is coming, every Baba is coming, I am Bhagwan, do this, all kind of a nonsensical philosophy, but we will come to that point later. So Krishna said again in chapter 4, the name of the chapter 4 is called Transcendental Knowledge, Divya Gyan. So he's actually saying is, in my absence, the source of a knowledge will be 3S. If somebody says Krishna is not there, and what you are giving another version of a Bhagavad Gita, I don't believe in you. So Krishna actually said it. The source of a knowledge, when Lord He Himself is not physically present, are 3. They're called 3S. We can memorize this with the 3S. I think I'm going to discuss this thing. The first S is called scriptures. The second S is actually called spiritual master, and the third S is called saintly person. In Sanskrit, Krishna said Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. They are as good as me, because the knowledge is actually coming in disciplic succession. I think in the very first class we discussed about that. I think let's do this exercise. Is 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, right? How do you know 2 plus 2 is equal to 4? We studied.
Yeah, because there is a structure has been created by the mathematicians,
Yes.
So how we measure things, in a
Yes.
certain way.
Yes. So somebody created the structure long back. I don't even know actually who that person is. But again, when I was born in 79 and when I was taught, how did I know 2 plus 2 is equal to 4? Because in simple word is, I was taught by my teacher. Simple. 2 plus 2 is equal to 2. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 is taught to me by my teacher. Okay. And then who taught my teacher 2 plus 2 is equal to 4? His or her teacher. And in turn, actually, it goes back to the track. But what you said, it goes back to the original person who created that mathematics, the structure in place. Okay, I'm creating an algebra, word, mass, bracket, of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, and this is how the things will happen. If I say 2 multiply 2, it becomes, eventually in this case 2 into 2 is 4 as well, plus 2 is 4, 2 minus 2 is 0. So the point is, this actually is called line of authority. I mean, we don't challenge 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. We don't even know. Like you said, the structure has been created. Some mathematics must have designed this laws. In fact, we do. When I was, I think you all do. I think at some point in grade 10 or grade 11, we proved those those theories, congruent theories. Can you prove this triangle is isosceles? Can you prove this triangle is equilibrium? So you come up with all those kind of a permutation and combination and equations. The point is, I don't even need to know who set up this philosophies, who created this structure, but I trust in line of authority, because this knowledge is coming in authority. Similarly, Krishna is saying the word, he's saying a different version. Evam parampara praptam imamaraj rasho vidu sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa. This knowledge, transcendental knowledge, after me will come in parampara. So that line of authority is called actually Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara means spiritual master gave this knowledge to the disciple, disciple gave this knowledge to the spiritual, when this disciple became a spiritual master, he gave this knowledge to his spiritual master. So in this way, this knowledge actually has been coming in a line of authority. So we established this process, line of authority, and then Krishna said, we said, okay, Krishna is not physically present, so how would I get the same knowledge 5,000 years back which Krishna gave to the Arjuna now in Australia? Through line of authority, through Guru Parampara. But how? Krishna is saying Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So you need to have a bona fide Guru that comes, bona fide Guru. Again, it's a subject matter for the different class. Who is a bona fide Guru? We will not go into detail. Probably we'll talk about that. So,
Guru is okay. Sadhu kahan se age? Where does the sadhu stands here?
very good question. Very good question. My daughter, she is in grade 7. So sometimes I sit with her for maths, and I do some problems for the maths. And then I'll say an example. So suppose I need to solve a problem which requires an equation like a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2. You don't need to understand. It's just a formula. Well, let's keep it simple. Find an area of a room. Basically, it's a rectangle. So rectangle is length into breadth. Simple, right? Now, she approaches to me actually, and then he said like, Papa, can you help me? I said like, okay, I'll do this problem. And then for some strange reason, even I cannot solve the problem. I said then, Yara, you have few options. What you can do is, either you can, okay, the first thing what I do when I teach my daughter is, bring the book, bring your textbook, because sometimes when they give a formula or when they prove some theory, they give some example problems as well, so that you can understand how that formula is working, right? So book, scriptures, everything is documented. Now, she got the book to me and I couldn't understand what's happening there. So that means I cannot understand the scriptures. I don't have potency. We already discussed this. That. Then I said, Yara, the same problem must be given by a teacher to the whole class. So why don't you speak to your friends who are also practicing or who also endeavoring to solve the same problem? So sadhu is basically the same person as who's not a spiritual master, who's not a god, but who is practicing spirituality. GP, general practitioner. Once somebody passes, what did we call it here? Actually, in India we call MBBS. I'm not sure what's the equivalent. So once you pass MBBS, you become a practitioner. You are practicing medicines to see doctors, right? So basically, the practitioner is a person who's also practicing. So in this case, the friends of because my daughter is also practicing to do the math problem, her friends are also practicing to do the same problem as well. So her friends becomes practitioners. So basically that is a sadhu, because they all have the same intent. They all have the same goal to finish this chapter because the teacher has given it. So scripture, so they couldn't get the problem from the book. I couldn't help her. She couldn't understand from the book. She rang few of her friends. None of them could solve the problems. And then, so the book failed. The colleagues, the practitioners, of which I said is the saintly person, basically the practitioner, they couldn't do it. Then I would say, yeah, I think what you should do is, now you should speak to your teacher, spiritual master. You should do this thing. Why? Anyways, right, because the Krishna itself said, anyways, right. So the answer to your question is, I think that makes the point actually, why is sadhu? So sadhu, when we say sadhu, that means practitioner, those who are also practicing. So in one sense, we can say all of us are practitioners because we are practicing spirituality, although we are at a different level. Does that make sense? Right. Okay, so we'll take questions. Let's try to finish this slide and then I think. Okay, so we were talking. We were talking about the line. We established the line of authority because why? Because shabd basically means the words which was spoken by Krishna to the Arjuna 5,000 years back on the battlefield of a Kurukshetra. वो words मुझे कैसे मिलेंगे? Through line of authority. और वो line of authority का process क्या है? उसका manual क्या है? Guru Sadhu Shastra. I need to have a bona fide guru in my life. I need to have a other sadhu. I need to have a other spiritual practitioners as well. बल्कि ये तो बहुत in our Vaishnava philosophy we actually call dasanudas. I mean, I won't call it a dasanudas. Means I'm not we are not trying to become a servant of the Lord. We are trying to become a servant of the 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 Lord. Why? Because they all are practicing. They all are practicing what you are practicing. Second thing is, shastrically, what it means is, forgetting another verse actually. Anyway, so the point is, spirituality is like a seed, a small seed, which is given by a spiritual master. They said, okay, I'm giving you a seed. Go back home, take this seed and sow this in a pot. And then he tells the process. Make sure you water it. Make sure you put in the right fertilizer. You make sure you're keeping it in the right temperature as well. He's giving instructions as well. He's giving the instructions as well. So the other, again coming to the fact, the other practitioners, other sadhus, when we are in, oh, my plant is not growing. You also have that plant because you were also given the same seed by the same guru, by the same teacher. How are you progressing in your spirituality? What challenges you are facing? So for anything and everything, you can't approach to the teacher. It's 9 o'clock. Tomorrow we have an exam. Suppose my daughter has an exam. She's preparing very hard. 9 o'clock now, she got stuck. I can't solve this problem. Guru is not available at 9 o'clock. Teacher cannot be available. So who is that alternative to the guru who is available? Her friends, because they're also practicing the same thing. So anyways, right, so Shabd basically means, so how would we get that Shabd? Through Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And so basically, and then again, So these are the three evidences how we can understand. So if I can see the things, if I can estimate the things, and through Shabd Pramana as well. Now the point is, I think another vague example I think I've given here is, keep on going back to the same example, can't think. I need to inquire from the source who the father of the child is, rather asking from the child, or rather asking from the neighbor, do you know who's the father of this child? They will concoct, I think that person could be the father. I think that person could be the father. I mean, everybody's concocting things. What they're doing, Anuman, I think so. What are you thinking? Basically, Anuman Praman, basically scientists, philosophers, our modern scientific education, they've fallen into this category, and they call this word research. Research. What are we researching? It appears something has been lost and we are searching it somewhere else. That's good. We are searching the good thing. But the point I think we discussed in the first class, we are searching the right thing in the wrong place. I think I showed one picture actually in the first, in one of the slides in the first class. A man was working in the office, and his printer cartridge his printer run out with a cartridge, and he's seeking the printer cartridge in the bin. He's finding the right thing because he need to print out and get it done for his boss. But he's doing the right thing, but he's seeking the right solution in the wrong place, and that's our place, I think. And then we discuss about Dukhale Ma Shashrutam and all those things. Right? Now, the point is, which is the best method to gain this knowledge? Now, Shastra, because Shastra, everything has come from Shastra scriptures, so all those three processes are bona fide processes. They're not ingenuine processes. They are genuine processes. However, the best way to gain the knowledge is through Shabd Praman, to understand through the authority. Now, the point is, although we have these different pramanas, but still we will struggle to understand the God. Why? Because each of these evidences, Shastra says, they have their own limitations as well. So I don't think we will be able to cover everything, but I'll try to cover just only one of them as well. So the four limitations, because we studied three pramanas: Pratyaksh Praman, direct perception, dikha doge to maan lunga; Anuman Praman, guessed, I think so, I think whatever is that. So Anuman Praman, and third is basically Shabd Praman. Now there are four defects. Why we are talking about this thing? This is coming from Shastras as well. Why we are thinking? Because हम यही तो बोलते हैं, दिखाओगे तो मानूंगा, नहीं तो मानता ही नहीं ना. ये तो मानते हैं, क्योंकि I think we discussed with one of the Prabhu, he didn't come today. I'm practicing a different type of a yoga, and I think my version of the God is something else. Absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. It's because we are actually limited by our own senses. Okay, let's talk about this thing. Our body, in fact, whole creation is actually created of these five elements: either air, fire, earth, water. इन पांच तत्वों से ये सब कुछ बना है. हमारी बॉडी इन पांच तत्वों से बनी है. डिफरेंट ट्रेडिशंस के अंदर जब बॉडी खत्म हो जाती है, किसी को जला देते हैं तो वो आग तत्व के थ्रू चली जाती है, किसी को दफना देते हैं तो वो अर्थ तत्व के थ्रू दूसरे एलिमेंट्स के अंदर चली जाती है, किसी में एयर, ओपन, whatever actually is. The point is, now the point I'm trying to make is, we all are actually, educated and intelligent enough. Now, can we understand that tattva, can we understand that element through one element or a group of elements which does not fall under the category of these four elements or five elements? Or let's make it simple, how can we understand that element or that tattva which is beyond these five tattvas? I mean, okay, let's keep it simple. People say, oh, there are aliens, Elon Musk, and then they'll be working very hard because moon, they're struggling, and then because they're trying to get another inhabited planet. So they're thinking probably few decades from now we will start living in Mars as well. But now I think recently they said no, NASA has declared it, Mars is absolutely not fit for living because the sulfur content is too much. We just can't, sulfur content, we can't survive in that. Now, the point is, because we have a limitation, how can we understand that tattva which does not fall under the tattva or that element which is beyond this? So basically, simple example में जैसे बोल रहे हैं कि there are aliens living on different planets as well, but probably they also says these aliens are very very smart enough. They live hundreds or thousands or hundred, if not thousand, hundreds and or many hundreds of years ahead of us because they are very very intelligent. They're very very intelligent. So probably what does that mean is their tattva, their element is different from the tattva from us. And I think one typical example I gave as well, there are inhabitants that live on Shastra Pools. Vivaswan जो हैं वो राजा हैं सूर्य देव के, तो वो उनकी बॉडी सूर्य तत्व से बनी हुई है, सॉरी आग तत्व से बनी हुई है, और वो अकेले नहीं रह रहे हैं, उनके साथ पूरा उनका पूरा उनका किंगडम है. So the point I'm trying to make is how can we understand that tattva which is beyond our, of which we are made up of. Anyways, right, so we'll go on a detail. I think I'll finish off the class as well. So there is a problem actually with the Pratyaksh Praman because our senses, it can be understood by IICC. We have an imperfect senses. Our senses are imperfect. How they are imperfect, we'll probably talk about in the next class. We are very easy to be illusioned. We can get illusion very quickly. We have a tendency to commit mistakes, and we have a cheating propensity. This is coming from the Shastras. Because of these defects, we cannot 100% rely on our eyes. Sun, when we see, it looks like a coin, but again, that's not the actual size of the sun. But we are perceiving through the eyes as the sun. So again, some of the thing is like, I'll talk about this is, if you see the three men in the pictures, they appear to be of different size, different heights.
Right.
But actually, the way this picture is drawn is, they all are of the same height. So we saw through our senses, we try to perceive the things appearing to be different, but they all are same persons. Again, the things like this, what do we see here in this picture? A struggle actually. In one way, actually, we can see, actually, there's an old lady. So there's an old lady here. So this is the old lady, we can see this one. And then there's another young lady as well. So things like this, we are illusion. So what do we see? Do we see like two huts, two men, or we see two men singing each other coming from the huts? So we are it appears to be moving. If we just blink our eyes, it appears there are three circles moving, but they all are static. It's an illusion. It's an illusion which are created. If we blink our eyes, it appears actually these circles are moving. So what is happening? We are illusion. What do we see here? Do we see a triangle or do we see a few circles or pizzas with one of the arc missed out? So things like that. Anyways, right, I think I'll wind up the class today here. Thank you very much. If anyone of you have any question from today's class or any question actually from any of your perspective, so feel free and then we can have a question. कोई क्वेश्चन आपका?
I was asking to my mind when you were talking something. I was talking to my mind. What do you think? What do you think? So I was just trying to get the essence of the class. What we discussed today. I believe we have too many questions, and they're endless. So what I understand from today's class, that you keep on doing your karma. You keep on doing, and the answers will keep coming to you.
Right.
So as you talked about service, give service to people. Like I was thinking, when I was like immature or child, I wasn't egoistic, like if someone is hurting me, I didn't know someone is hurting me. Now when you understand, when you get answers of all this, it start to hurt you. When somebody is, giving you pain, but when you're a child, it doesn't. So what I believe, just keep going with the flow. Keep doing your karma in a positive direction, and the answers will keep coming to you.
And that's
I
actually
was
fine.
talking to my head, when you were talking.
And that's actually fine. In the 5th chapter, I think I mentioned why do bad things happen to the good, why do bad things happen to the good people. गलत काम मेरे साथ क्यों हो रहा है? One of the topic is a karma theory. Very important topic. Very important topic. We'll talk about this as well. But I think you're heading in the right direction. Right? Yeah. Any other question from anyone? हिंदी में बस हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ, तो लैंग्वेज हिंदी में मुझे नहीं बना है क्वेश्चन. Alright, thank you very much. Krishna Arjun Samvad की जय, ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल.